Hi everyone, my name is Nick Besso. I'm a dietitian at Sooma, a multidisciplinary practice that specializes in treating eating disorders and sports nutrition in both Montreal and the United States.
Today we're going to talk about the act of engaging in a food exposure with forbidden foods. So if you don't know what a forbidden food is, or you haven't seen part 1 of this 2-part series, I would encourage you to go back to our channel and look at that video right now. So firstly, what is a food exposure? So the goal of a food exposure is to plan an eating event around a forbidden food in a way that is controlled and deliberate to see what emotions might come up, to see how compensatory behaviors might also be involved, and then to actually specifically talk about ways to tolerate those emotions and move away from the compensatory behaviors. So an example of this is if chips are a forbidden food, and typically if you come home on a Friday evening and consume a bag of chips because your week is over, then maybe the following day or even that evening, you might experience a lot of anxiety, experience a lot of guilt, experience a lot of shame, perhaps some sadness, and you might turn towards other behaviors in order to reduce those uncomfortable emotions. So typically food exposures are conducted with a registered dietitian who specializes in eating disorders or disordered eating. And in this process, you would explore what the typical relationship with the forbidden food looks like, and then plan to incorporate the forbidden foods at different times of day or in different contexts to see what shows up or manage the uncomfortable emotions in a different way. So if we go back to the example of consuming a bag of chips on a Friday evening, perhaps the exposure might be that you actually pack a certain portion of chips in your lunch daily that you bring to work. And so this might feel really scary, it might feel really uncomfortable, it might feel absolutely inappropriate, but the goal of this is to actually normalize this food in your daily intake so that it loses some of its emotional power over you. So in your planning with the registered dietitian, you might talk about vulnerabilities that might arise around this goal, whether this goal actually feels accessible, and then you might actually log what emotions might come up as you eat the chips daily. So this is just one example of what a food exposure might look like. You might also consume the chips in session with the registered dietitian who will prompt you with questions to increase exploration and awareness around your thoughts, your emotions, and how you may want to be negotiating with those through compensatory behaviors. And there's a variety of ways that you can engage in food exposures, but truly the goal of this is to normalize this food in your diet so that it becomes less novel, so that you don't feel like you have to regulate it, and it can become just as accessible to you like any other food.
Thanks again for joining us today. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you again shortly.